What's up, y'all? We are week three of the cut. This is upper one, opening up with an upper back row. And I would normally get into a barbell deadlift after this, but I'm actually gonna do deadlifts on my second upper body workout of the week and just do bench press is my main heavy movement in this session. I normally do them in the same session. Loads are getting a little bit heavier, and I'm actually pressed for time today, so I'm gonna split it up and see what we can come up with. Last week on this movement topped out the rep range, so we got more weight here. We'll see what we can come up with. Already warmed up, ready to roll. Let's get into it. Let's go. Ooh. 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 Oh, ah, six, 8, 9, call that 10. Got one more like that. That was good. You know, this is a cut vlog, but I really haven't been talking about the cut a whole lot. And that's because, man, not much to talk about. I'm eating less food. I'm doing some cardio. I'm losing weight. I'm getting leaner. It's super simple stuff, you know? It's kind of hard to fuck it up if you just are consistent with what you do. I've never had a problem getting lean. Consistency is the root of most people's problems when they can't seem to string together weeks of steady fat loss. So put the fork down. Put the fork down. One more here. Ooh. 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 Wow. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 on that one too. So match reps from first to second set. Maybe I sandbagged it a little bit on that first one, but getting to some bench press. All right, we got 3 sets of 3 today with 275. So getting into some decent weight. I guess what is decent weight on bench press? To me, like 225 is just the, let me fix this shit here. We're crooked. Boom, boom, level. It doesn't really matter how strong you get. 225 is still, it's still pretty heavy. Like I've been at points where like I can move 225 like it's air, but no matter what, like 2 plates, I think it's still pretty respectable. It's still gonna be heavy for most people. But I think once you get to that 3 plate mark, you're pretty strong. Like you're gonna be stronger than most people in the gym at 3 plates, you know? So we're getting there. But again, the goal here is not to just feed my ego and do as much as I can possibly do. I'm building volume. I'm acclimating to that volume. So I have more in the tank than this 275. You know, I pressed 315 for a few reps before I started this program. I'm saving it. I'm just building it up. At some point in time, I'll be pressing more than 315 for multiple sets. But you gotta be patient. You can't blow your load too soon. So even though that this might not feel overly challenging, I'm investing and it'll pay dividends. All right, let's see what we got. Ooh. 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 Yeah, we'll blow through those pretty quick. 2 more like that. I'm probably gonna do a little 225 AMRAP. Do a little bit extra. Even though I was just saying don't do extra, I'm gonna touch a little bit extra. It's something that I've always done when I'm trying to get stronger on bench press, is just having an AMRAP set at the end of the volume work. 225, and while I'm pausing here on these heavier loads for 225, my goal, I'm just gonna try to move it as fast as I can, try to make it feel as light as possible, try to get it to feel like air, almost where when I press it up, you can hear it click at the top because there's so much velocity coming up. I'm almost having to pull it back down at the top. That's that shit I love. I'm gonna show you a little something with wrist wraps, okay? So a lot of people, they just wrap it around their wrist here. But the whole point of the wrist wrap is to secure your wrist from being able to really do this. So you wanna get it up over your hand a little bit, right? So come up over and get some tension around the wrist joint, not just below it. So I like to do one over the top, one down below, and kind of meet it in the middle when I secure it, so that this is the support that you're looking for, so that you don't have too much of this happening when you're pressing. So again, getting up high on one, coming down below on one, and then back up to the top, or in the middle, I should say. And now it's a lot harder for me to be able to bend my wrist. One more. Last one here, and then I'm gonna drop set right into 225 for a few. Maybe 225 for 10 or something like that. We'll see what we come up with. All right, let's see what we got. Ooh. That was definitely heavier than I thought it was gonna be, but okay. Pendlay rows. So I got into my first warm-up set for Pendlays and feeling very uneven. Not a great connection to my back. So what I'm gonna do is some pullovers just to get some blood into my lats, which the Pendlay rows, I'm not using them as a lat movement. Of course, you're gonna pick up some lats, but I wanna feel the tension evenly in my lats, right? So having a little bit of blood in the muscle can make it a lot easier, make it easier to feel what you're doing. So just getting in here, doing some pullovers, really depressing the scaps down at the bottom. And I normally wouldn't focus on pulling my shoulder blades back in a pullover. I'm actually gonna pull a little bit further and drive those shoulder blades back to warm up some of that tissue as well, just to create some sensation there. I'm not trying to fatigue my back here. I'm just trying to create that mental handshake, that mind muscle connection with the muscles I want to train in this heavier Pendlay row. All right, target rep range here is 6 to 8. The last time that I did Pendlay rows, I was able to get 205 for 8 reps across both of the sets that I have programmed. Typically, that's a point at which I would increase load. I reached the top of the rep range across both of my working sets. That's the green light to say, hey, bump the load up. But I'm not gonna do that this week. I'm gonna go ahead and still operate with this weight, but push the progression in reps rather than in load. I still don't have this movement dialed in. It's been a while since I've done Pendlay rows. So instead of just being aggressive with pushing the load up, I'm gonna spend a little bit more time with the same weight and just progress the reps. So maybe once I actually get this to say 12 reps, even though the program calls for 6 to 8, I will have confidence in this load. I will have confidence in the movement, and I will have built that with this weight. I'll be able to control it, feel exactly what I want to feel, and then from that point, start escalating the load up. This is still progressive overload. More reps with the same load, more load, it's all progressive overload. There's so many different ways that you can go about this. It's not just load. So let's see what we got here. Ooh. Ooh. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh. Shoot for the same thing on the next one. Uno más. Ooh. 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 That shit was getting heavy, boy. All right, next up, got an upper back biased pull down. So with these, I don't want to pull vertically, like straight vertical. If I wanted to hit my lat, specifically my lat, I would want to pull something more like this. Whether that was with a neutral grip or a pronated grip, a supinated grip, doesn't matter. I'm gonna pull something more on this vertical line. Versus if I wanna hit my upper back, right? So all this meat up here, I'm gonna hit something more on this line like this with my elbows a little bit further out from my body. So when I set this up, I'm just taking that into consideration, right? So I'm kind of almost bracing back against this weight, getting myself nice and stable, and I'm just gonna fight to maintain this position right here. So I just want to hold this position right here, get myself organized, and I'm going to fight to maintain this through the duration of the lift. Ooh. 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 Yeah. And also, like upper back stuff, really trying to get the shoulder blades moving, get the shoulder blades protracting around the rib cage, not trying to like flex my upper back, but trying to get the shoulder blades to wrap around the rib cage. I think open, close, open, close. Whereas with something that's more lat biased, I'm not really focusing so much on the shoulder blades moving a whole lot, right? Because if I'm doing a lat bias row, my lat is pretty much fully contracted at this point with my elbow right here. My shoulder blade's not really pulled back. The further I drive that elbow behind my body, the more that shoulder blade is going to be wrapping around the back of my rib cage and using the muscles that do that. So that's that upper back area. So that's all just stuff to keep in mind. It's all subtle stuff. Like at the end of the day, if you're doing a pull down, no matter what angle you're hitting it from or how it lines up, you're still hitting your back, right? So don't lose the forest for the trees with this shit, right? But these subtle nuances, at some point, they do make a difference. Oh, that's it. Whew. All right, on to some triceps. Close grip bench, 10 pounds up from last week. Let's see what we can do. Still some little baby weight, but we'll get it there. Ooh. 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 Oh. Ah. Hey. Ah. 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 Oh shit, I'll take it. This is a plate and a 5 on each side. And I don't know how much weight it actually is, but it's heavier than a normal Smith machine would be. I actually took the counterbalance off of this machine. So Smith machines often have a cable attached to the bar that acts as a counterbalance, but it deducts from the weight of the bar essentially, right? So that if you were to unrack it, the bar wouldn't just like crash to the ground. But this assembly, the bar, it has to be more than a 45-pound bar because it's got the bar, it's got the hooks, it's got the bearings on it. So if I would venture to guess, and the bearings are big, if I would venture to guess, I would think that the bar assembly might be something like 70 pounds, something like that, right? So a decent clip more than a traditional barbell, but regardless, it doesn't matter to me. I just track this in my logbook as normal bar weight, right? So I would have this listed in my logbook as 145 pounds. Anyways, good set, rest a little bit, one more just like it. Ooh. 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 Ah. Mm. Mm. Ah. 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 Oh, shit. Didn't quite get that last rep. Ooh. All right, I've got a lying cuff lateral raise. The yoga block on the bench is really just to support my head. Probably not the best thing to do because it kind of puts my head position forward, but it makes it nice and comfy for me. Ooh. Uh, 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 that's it. Ooh, shit. Hit one more just like that. Raise the pulley up a little bit on this one. You know, I keep a note of all of my machine positions, but the truth is that some days shit just doesn't feel the same. And so I'm not afraid to mess around with the position a little bit. I'm not trying to change the move entirely, but I'm not afraid to just like try to find what feels best on that day, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, I like this way better immediately. Ah, yes. Uh, oh, oh, uh, I'm gonna rest pause this. I'm just gonna pin my hands down here because the cable is pulling on me. I don't want to set up. Just pin my hands here. A couple deep breaths of air. And we'll reset back into it. Or a few more. Ah, ah, oh shit. That'll do it. All right, now on to a little tricep action. You know, we had to pull the sleeves out, air out the guns a little bit. Got to. Just gonna lean into this right here because I'm feeling lazy. Feeling lazy. I'm gonna get a little braced up against that so I don't have to balance. I don't have to do anything other than lean up into this thing and extend my arm. Ah. Ah. Oh. Pulled my carbs down pretty aggressively the last couple days, about 200 grams of carbs a day. Previous baseline was a little bit over 300, so pretty aggressive for me. I'm definitely flattening out just fine. It doesn't take much for me to flatten out. Ooh. 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 Ah. Oh, with the self-assist. One more like that on each side. Wow. Ah. 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 I'm gonna drop it down a little bit. A little dropper set. Woo. Mm. Mm. Ah. Oh. Ah. Oh. Same thing. I do 22. 22. Should have dropped it down one, not two. Ooh. Damn. All right. Oh. That's a wrap. All right, that's a wrap on upper one, day 9, week 3. A lot of numbers going on, but overall pretty good session. I'm definitely kind of starting to feel the impact of being lower carb, like I just mentioned. Not so much that like I'm getting weaker or that my energy levels are low or anything like that, but just today was kind of the first day where I didn't have like that real kind of crazy pump, and I'm hydrated coming into the session. I also gave some blood today. Had my blood work done, so you know, I don't really know how much that impacts it. They don't take a ton of blood. I think they had maybe 6 vials or something like that, but blood is blood, you know. Blood volume is blood volume. So I'm sure that plays some sort of role into it. But regardless, I'm at the point where I've been dieting for a while. I did like a little mini rebound coming into this last leg of the cut. So I'm excited to, push hard right now, dig into this cut, and basically it's all just me trying to position myself for a really, really good off-season push. The best thing that you can do for growth, like you want to put on some serious muscle, is to get lean first. You get lean first, your body is nice and sensitive, and it sets you up to have a lot of runway to gain weight, to gain body fat before you even get fat, right? Before you have to pull the plug on it. I kind of like to operate between maybe like an 8% body fat and 15% body fat, right? So once I get to 15%, I'm pulling the plug. I got to do some sort of mini cut. I got to do something because I don't want to let my body get fatter than 15% body fat. So obviously, the lower you start your body fat, the lower you start your bulk in terms of your body fat, the more runway you have to grow, the more time you have, the more fat runway you have, the more everything you have. Whereas if you start a bulk and you're already at 13% body fat, that doesn't afford you much runway. Nothing nice really happens once your body fat gets over 15%. Nothing nice. Your insulin sensitivity goes down the drain, your nutrient partitioning with it, you're just putting on more fat than muscle at that point. And for sure, there's gonna be some outliers that, do pretty well getting, real fluffy. I think that that's a thing. There's always going to be a unique individual response to these things. But I think for most men, operating somewhere between that 8 and 15% range is a good parameter to operate within. Now, truthfully, if you wanted to have like a crazy potential, I think getting truly stage lean is going to afford you that best option to where you're almost over dieted. Think that at that point your body is kind of like a sponge, and if you can stay with the diet and not fuck it up, that's where you can really see some phenomenal growth. But I'm not trying to push to that point, quite to that point. I want to get to the point where I have pretty decent lines in my glutes, but not like super crazy, completely dug out. And I'm not also going to be using any of the firepower that you would normally use to get to that point either. So I want to be able to enter this off-season growth push basically on very little supplements with very low training volume, and have a lot of runway in terms of body fat, in terms of supplements, in terms of training volume and output, and scale all these things up as the food comes up. So I'm really excited for it. Enough rambling. I'm gonna close this one out. See you on the next one.